I was promised when I moved from Georgia to the state of Utah that I would experience very little rain, so I'm a little bit disappointed today given that I'm going to be camping out here in this, but nonetheless, it is still beautiful. I'm anticipating that you might have a few questions, first of which being, where is Laiken? And secondly, why I am towing a small utility trailer behind the Sequoia. Both of those are actually related to our work. Believe it or not, we do actually work day jobs. I'm actually driving from the Ogden Valley all the way down to St. George to pick up some lumber for the camp that Laiken and I work at, and unfortunately Laiken couldn't come. She had some other work-related things going on. So it's just me on this trip, and if that upsets you, I'm very, very sorry. I know Laiken is much more pleasant to look at than I am, and plus she doesn't have an enormous nose like I do. So that's rather unfortunate. I actually had somebody comment on a video one time and said, if you want to make this YouTube thing your job, then you should definitely get a nose job or something to that extent. But anyway, we're just a little bit north of St. George. We're out on some national forest land, and it's really cool. It's nice to be out with the snow cleared out of the higher elevations. Today we just have to contend with some rain, and it's a little chilly, and I'm not entirely sure I'm prepared for that. But anyway, stay tuned, and we're gonna camp for the night. Well, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to apologize just a little bit. One of the things that Laiken and I do when we make these videos is we try to hold ourselves to a very high standard for production quality. So I must admit that today on this video it might not quite be up to our normal standard, given the fact that I'm on my own and I usually get a lot of help from Laiken, and also the weather is not exactly ideal. But as you can see behind me, I did get the roof tent set up, and I'm hoping that for tomorrow morning we will have some much better weather, mainly because there's going to be hopefully some pretty good scenery to see up the road. I think tomorrow morning I might just leave the trailer here for a few minutes and go up further up the road, because I believe there's supposed to be some red cliffs and some rock spires up there. So some pretty cool stuff to see, but we'll have to wait and see in the morning. Hopefully the weather will improve a little bit. I'm hoping to not have to pack away the tent with it all wet tomorrow morning. Well, I had the plan of hopefully answering a few Q&A questions. If you follow us closely, you'll know that I did ask for viewers to send in some of their questions. I thought that maybe I'd have a little bit of extra time while here set up at camp to do that. However, I am actually not able to retrieve those questions because I don't have any cell coverage out here. I must say that on Gaia, there's these layers that you can download of each cell carrier's like coverage zones. So like I personally have T-Mobile, and you can download a map of T-Mobile's coverage, and when I checked this area, I saw that it had this area listed as being covered with LTE coverage, and I must say that is not true. So if you're relying on those maps on Gaia to tell you whether or not you're going to have coverage, I would suggest don't count on it. It doesn't seem to be entirely accurate. But anyway, it's probably for the best. Most of those questions I actually, once I read them, I kind of thought to myself it was probably a little bit better if I save those for a time that Laiken and I can both answer them together. However, one question I do remember is somebody asking about fuel economy on our Sequoia, and I was actually looking at it. I was monitoring the fuel economy a little bit on the drive down here, And of course, it's not going to be entirely accurate because we did have that small utility trailer behind the Sequoia the whole time. But I noticed when I was just cruising on a flat part of the interstate in overdrive, the instant computer was reading somewhere between 15, 16, and 17 miles per gallon. And that's pretty close to what I've found when not towing, just normal driving with the rig as it's equipped right now. That's a pretty close estimate about what we get on the highway. And around town, we're probably doing around 12 or 13. So when we added the taller tires, these 255 8017 tires, I noticed just a slight decrease in fuel economy. I think stock, the vehicle is maybe getting around 18 or 19. 19, you know, if you're doing really efficient driving. But yeah, now it's probably closer to 16, maybe 17 on a good day. But from what I understand, that still seems to be pretty good. That seems to be significantly better than if you do a wider tire. So we're still pretty happy with our thin tires. They look good and they do the job, and they don't seem to have killed our fuel economy too terribly bad. Dinner tonight is a Chipotle chicken salad sandwich on 9-grain bread, thanks to the Flying J truck stop. So I feel like on this channel the quality of the food that we've eaten while camping has just gone further and further downhill the longer we've been doing this. And of course, another staple of our channel is, of course, Walmart brand cola. Another downside of not having cell coverage tonight is the fact that I was kind of hoping, since I'm by myself, to maybe be able to enjoy watching some television on Netflix or something like that. But it doesn't seem as if that's going to happen. So I guess I'll have to find another way of entertaining myself. That's pretty good. Alrighty, good morning. I've already got everything all packed up, but before we get going, I did want to quickly tell you about last night and tell you about how I personally kept myself warm. So I just checked the thermometer on the Sequoia and it said 40 degrees. However, a couple hours ago before the sun came up, I'm guessing it was probably 38, 39, somewhere in that ballpark. And I did stay warm all night, actually. I wasn't expecting it to go as well as it did, but I did have a secret weapon. And that was this 12-volt electric blanket that we recently added to our kit. Well, by recently, I mean a couple months ago, but we haven't had the chance to use it. On the last camping trip that you saw on this channel, we managed to stay perfectly warm in the same sleeping bag I had. But it helps to have, I guess, two people, you know, sharing body heat in the same sleeping bag. But tonight it was a little bit colder and I was all by myself, so I ended up using this 12-volt electric blanket. It pulls a decent amount of power. Like, you'd have to have a pretty significant battery reserve in order to run it all night. So basically what I did with it is well, of course I plugged it into our Jackery 240, but I powered it up right as I got into bed to make sure that everything was nice and warm, make sure, you know, my feet and everything were warm, and then I turned it off, and then I woke up about I'd say 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and the cold had started to permeate back into my sleeping bag, so I simply turned it back on. It gets warm really quickly. I'd say it takes only about 5 minutes to get warm. And so yeah, I just let it run for a little bit and then turned it off, and then I easily slept in till 8 o'clock after that. So it worked really well. I'm very pleased with it. And as always, there'll be an affiliate link in the description if you want one of these from Amazon. Alrighty, I think we're gonna leave the trailer locked and stored here at this campsite for just a few minutes while we drive up the road with just the Sequoia to see if we can make our way up, I believe that way, where there are some rock spires. And maybe we'll put up the drone. I'm pretty sure after seeing that drone footage, you guys are gonna suspect that I illegally flew my drone inside Bryce Canyon National Park, but I didn't. This is one of the reasons why I absolutely love national forest land. This area here, I mean, it's just stunningly beautiful, and I mean, you're pretty much free to roam about wherever you please, camp just about anywhere you want to. And the best part about all of this is I have not seen another soul since I left the town right outside the forest here. So had it all to myself, and wow, just amazing scenery. All right, well, with that, there's not a whole lot left for me to do except go back and rehitch the trailer and head on out of here. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this fairly brief and uneventful trip, although it was really, really enjoyable. I hope that if you enjoy this type of content that you'll subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.